This week is super special for me. I celebrated 10 years married with my wife, and there's been a lot of reflecting on the good and the bad and the hard things we've gone through. Mostly just gratitude and gratefulness for the fact that we've made it this far. I thought that it would be great to share some of that wisdom. The very first thing that I want to talk about is the need for individuality. It's really easy to lose yourself when you're in a marriage and you're living with somebody else and you're constantly thinking about them and their needs. Let alone if you also have children, then it's just more bodies and it's more people in the mix. The number one thing that we've really learned is to embrace our individuality, having our own individual time to do the things that we care about or nurture ourselves as individuals is just as important as nurturing the relationship itself. You can't pour from an empty cup. And whether it's time in the shop and woodworking, or it's time out with your friends, or a brunch date, or just a simple walk, it's so important that you take care of yourself as an individual and you don't lose who you are in the relationship. The second thing, and maybe this should have been number one, is making the active choice every day to be married and to be in love. I know growing up, I thought love was this thing that you fall into and you have, and like you obviously work on it, like that's clear, but it just seemed like this thing that once you love somebody, you love someone. You think about your parents or your family, like love is love. It's there, it's unconditional. But that's not always the case, and it's not always that easy. Something that I learned a few years ago was really waking up every morning and looking at her next to me and making the active choice to love and practicing that daily gratitude and practicing that moment of this is the person I get to spend my life with. Like this is the person that I chose, and she's beautiful and exciting and sometimes annoying, but such is life. The third thing, so important, is to share the emotional load and share the burden. We each have our individual coping mechanisms and we have our individual things that have helped us survive the things that we've gone through, our traumas and our stressful events. And so, as an individual, we have ways that we cope and we have ways that we express and handle the emotions, both good and bad, the things that we go through. But when you become a unit, when you become a partnership, oftentimes we don't actually stop and think about like, it's not just up to me to carry my emotional burden anymore. It's respecting that I have a partner that loves me enough to want to carry that load with me. And that was something that was very profound for me. I had thought about carrying my own weight and my own baggage all of this time. And it wasn't until a therapist said, you're not honoring your wife and her love for you if you're not letting her take that weight off sometime, if you're not sharing with her and you're not communicating some of these stresses and these fears, and the more you share, the more vulnerable you are, the deeper that connection is, and the deeper that trust bond that you're going to have, and the better your relationship is going to be. Number four is to just tend the relationship. I think so often, as fast as the world moves today and as many distractions as there are, we often just let the relationship kind of take a back seat. And the one thing that has worked really well for me and my wife, we actually made this a pinky promise where when our son was born, that we would have one date minimum every month. That time is not only something to look forward to, but it's something that we know is a dedicated, intentional time that we are choosing to spend with each other. Sometimes it's as simple as just going and grabbing ice cream or, sitting in our backyard. The point is that it is intentional time spent to hear what's been going on and what's working or not, or just to connect and share. I like to think of tending the relationship like I tend a garden. If I'm not watering it constantly, if I'm not pruning and editing, if I'm not planting the right things next to each other, or if I'm not pulling the weeds, they're consuming from the good. Think about it this way. If there are things that are bothering you, and whether it's related to your relationship or not, those are weeds, and weeds multiply. And those things can cause resentment. They can cause bitterness. They can cause us to be reactive and they can drive a wedge where we otherwise don't want one. Number five is falling in love all over again. The person that I fell in love with 14 years ago, not the same person that she is today. There's a lot of things that are similar, and there's a lot of things that I still see in her today that I saw all those years ago, but we're different. We're more mature. We see the world differently. We have different careers and we have different things and hobbies and all of these pieces of us that didn't exist. And I heard a quote many years ago from Esther Perel. In every person's life, they will have two to three major loves, and the lucky ones get to have those with the same person. I love this quote because my wife and I have hit some walls where, if I'm really being honest, we almost didn't make it. There's a few times when we really had to separate and say, is this what we want? Is being together actually right for us? Because sometimes it wasn't. And sometimes I was a terrible partner, and sometimes my wife was not a great partner either. And we had to really separate and decide, is this what we want? Being able to take those moments and be honest and make an active choice to fall in love again and to see this person in a new light and to practice that gratitude of, wow, this person has changed. And so have I. And we still choose each other is a beautiful and special experience. Number six is sharing and receiving. So on one side, you have sharing, and that's how I show up and what I bring to a relationship and what I communicate. That's both good and bad. That's me sharing the things that work for me and saying, I like it when you do this, and I feel supported when this happens. But what's even more important is the receiving, is when I hear that, what do I do with it? When I hear my wife saying that she wants this or she needs support in this way, or when I do XYZ, that makes her feel happier or less stressed, do I make a mental note of that? And do I act on that? And do I potentially try to make an active choice in that? Number seven, I kind of touched on already, but it's really just never losing sight of the person that you originally fell in love with. That goofy, young, silly, smart, whatever things come up for you, just knowing that that person is still there. And some of the things that we do is we keep some of the old photos of us when we were 24 years old. And we look back at them and first off, laugh at the crazy mohawk and dyed black, red hair that I had. We're not going to go there. Not going to talk about it. Looking at the children that we were and thinking back to those moments of like the honeymoon phase and remembering what it was like to fall in love the very first time can help you spark and start to build some of that gratitude again if it's waning. Number eight is ebbing and flowing with the relationship as it changes. There's been times when my wife carried us and I wasn't making a lot of money or I was unemployed. And there's times when, and vice versa, when I made more money and she didn't. And not even just financially, but emotionally or physically when we're sick or when we're hurt or any one of these things that can come up. All of these are times when your relationship dynamic can shift. Now, sometimes that can be scary and sometimes it feels more permanent than others. And most of the time, all you have to do is communicate it. And that's one thing over this last year, more in particular, my wife and I have gotten really good at is we've actually been able to say, hey, this is what's working and this is what's not. And a lot of this has really come up in the last year or so as I quit my day job and I started doing this men's coaching and this work full time. That's scary. And that meant that there were going to be months when there were lulls and there were going to be months when I didn't teach a course or when I was sick and didn't have clients or whatever that looked like. Number nine, obvious. I think most of you probably expected this one to come, but having children makes the individual time that you have together so much more important. When people make excuses like, oh, like the kids are always around and we don't have time for us. Yeah, you do. The time is there if you want to make it. If you want to intentionally spend time with this person, you'll make it happen. So I would ask yourself, if that's a struggle of yours, are you actually putting an effort there? Because again, like the rest of this list, where you intentionally put your effort and how you show up with that person, both as an individual and as their partner, matters every day. It's not something you can go 6 months by, put your relationship on cruise control and expect it to be the same that it was on your last anniversary. It takes an active step. And when you have children involved, if your kids are anything like mine, he wants our affection as much as we want each other's affection. And so, whether we find time as a family to sit on the couch and watch a movie and snuggle and eat popcorn, or we make sure that he gets to bed on time and have our own dinner afterwards, making sure that we have time for the individuals, time for father, time for partner, and time for all the above at once is so important. Number 10, saved it for last, by far my favorite. My wife and I call it best friendin', like with an apostrophe IN. Find things that you both enjoy and find things that you both can laugh about and share and experience. And sometimes for us, that's being goofy in the backyard or looking at the old photos, like I just mentioned. Sometimes it's as simple as just watching a show and pausing it every 10 minutes to talk about it. These kind of things are important and they're special, and making sure that they're not just your love partner or your intimate partner, but that they're also your friend and confidant and person that you can share things with is just as important as anything else. So, as I end the list, I hope this was helpful. If it was, please let me know. Share, like, comment, all the like YouTubey things. I hope your relationship is going well. If it's not and you need help, I'm also here for you. Much love. See you in the next video.